Hello everyone, this is update for March 31, 2024, day 767 of the war and of the date update. Also catch up for March 30 and March 29. As you can see, I'm going to start with a general update, and I'm just going to kind of look again at the situation with Ukrainian power generation system. So this is a little bit more updated map. I think maybe a little bit more clear relative to what I've shown last time. But as I mentioned, most of the coal-fired power generation was taken out by Russian attacks. So as you can see, these two major completely destroyed. This one incredibly significantly damaged. This hydropower generator also destroyed completely. This one is also damaged. This one nearly destroyed. This is destroyed. This is destroyed. So as you can see, it's pretty much nothing left that's under Ukrainian control. These two are under Russian control. This is Zaporizhya nuclear power station and the sister coal-powered station. So really, the only power generation capabilities that have significant flexibility are left around Kyiv, essentially, and that's pretty much it. As a result of all of that, there are significant issues with electricity supply in the regions here in the sort of south, Odessa region, Dnipro region, Kharkiv region, obviously Poltava region. So essentially all of this kind of like belt is suffering from electricity shortages. Again, if Russia continues their attacks this will create significant issues. They already exist. They are very visible, very clear. This will become extremely problematic if Russia takes out these power generators around Kyiv. So this is just a quick update on the energy situation, which is becoming worse and worse in the summer. Now let's move to the situation on the battlefield. I'm gonna do a walkthrough, and I'm gonna provide update about the change in Russian strategy and advances in I would say progress in Russian strategy, which is I would say threatening to Ukraine in the long run. For now, the Russian military command is still learning, but they clearly making some progress. But let me first start walkthrough in a clockwise fashion, and then once we get to the respective section of the front line, I will explain these changes and why they are actually dangerous for Ukraine in the long run. So first, the situation along the state border remains more or less the same. No essential different changes there. No essential threats of imminent Russian attack, despite all of these claims that show up in the media from time to time. Now let's jump to the North Lugansk front section of the front line. Things here are fairly quiet. The only area of Russian persistent attacks is this village Terny. There are some minor advances, but nothing to really report in terms of real meaningful changes there. Now let's move to the North Donbass front line. Things here are more or less the same way. Northern sector pretty much quiet. There's not much going on there. The southern one also activity on the lower end. There are still Russian attacks. The Russian troops are attempting to move forward to the objective is this town Chasiv Yar, but the advance slowed down, and it's very clear that the pressure there's no resources on the Russian side to continue significant pressure in this area. So the front line more or less stabilized. Now let's move to the central Donbass front line, where, as I stated, the most interesting and dangerous development for Ukraine in the long run. So the activity generally is on the lower end, so similar to what we observed before. However, there is extremely dangerous development. So Russian troops, actually 90th Tank Division, attempted attack from Orlivka towards village Semenivka to essentially kind of like break through this defensive line. And the danger is that Russian command finally realized that concentrating troops into large armored groups can yield significant results. So they accumulated 36 tanks and I think 12 AFVs. I think it's BMP 1, 2. I don't know exact composition of the group, but as you can see, this is like essentially slightly less than 50 armored vehicles, mostly tanks. This is basically a ram that they attempted to use. It was largely unsuccessful as the Russian troops lost 12 tanks, 8 AFVs. So this is essentially a third of the group was destroyed, or a little bit more than a third, especially if we take into account mostly focusing on tanks. This is initial, but the significance of this is initial attack. This is actually a picture from this attack. The significance is, going back to what I started to say, is that this is more looking like what would be sort of World War II type of attacks. And while this attack in particular was not terribly successful, this shows progress in Russian command and realization that they need to concentrate forces, and eventually they will learn how to do this attack successfully. Just there was not enough artillery support, not enough air support, and so on. There's not no proper reconnaissance and so on. But there's a lot of issues with it. But the problem for Ukraine is this is a step in the right direction for the Russian side, and with practice, Russian command eventually will learn how to actually execute these attacks properly, and at that time it will become extremely difficult, extremely dangerous for Ukraine, because in order to stop such attacks, if they penetrate, you really need to have highly skilled troops that are capable of counterattacks at large scale, and this does not exist in the Ukrainian army. As I mentioned before, it's more like a peasants' army, and up to till now, Russia's army was peasants' army, but it slowly but surely is moving away from being peasants' army, and that will be existential threat for Ukraine. And Ukrainian forces, military forces, unfortunately, are not changing, are not progressing to to catch up or to even stay ahead of Russian side. And that's where the real strategic and existential threat for Ukraine. So going back to the actual sort of situation on the front line, so this attack failed. I'm sure there will be sort of next round of these attacks, and generally Russian troops effectively bogged down, essentially. At the same time, as I say, that Russian command is trying to kind of figure out how to use this ram successfully to basically breach Ukrainian defenses in a decisive way, and actually manage to break through into operation area into Ukrainian rear, and really create large-scale issues for Ukrainian military. So far, as I stated, was not successful, but this was just first attempt. The situation towards the south remains more or less the same. Russian troops are slowly moving through Novomikhailivka, essentially capturing it bit by bit. I'm sure eventually they will complete this, because Again, the same situation. Ukrainian forces are not capable of counterattacking. It's just a rigid defense, which is really not effective in the long run for Ukraine. Now let's move to the next section of the front line. This is Zaporizhya front line, and things here remain more or less the same without essential differences. So again, Russian attacks in Robotyne area and around this Velika Novosilka without really any meaningful advances there. And now let's finish with the situation along the Dnipro River. Things here remain more or less the same, no essential changes here. And as I stated before, Russian command obviously, doesn't want to sort of spend resources to destroy Ukraine bridgehead because they're realizing that Ukraine does not have resources to exploit the bridgehead. So it's kind of like this kind of makes the status quo. So what this means that the status quo will remain for a foreseeable future because Russian command is not perceiving threat anymore from Ukrainian bridgeheads here. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Till next time. Bye bye.